Welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our coverage of the 2014 fantasy football season. There has been some big news to come out. Rob Gronkowski is apparently healthy and ready to play football, and it looks like he'll be ready by the start of the NFL season. That is pretty crazy news because we here at Trippy Commentaries were kind of expecting for him to be limited, at least in the early going, but as of right now, we could have a healthy Gronk heading into the season. That is huge news for the tight end position. I'm RJ, here to talk about it with Kyle. What's up, man?
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, this is it's pretty exciting news for the fantasy football world and for all of New England Patriot fans. It's great that your number one player, your biggest touchdown threat on your team, has been cleared for training camp. So he's going to be able to get an early start on the season with Tom Brady. They're going to be able to have plenty of time to get back to how they used to be 2 years ago. And I don't know, man. As long as he can stay healthy, I think he passes Jimmy Graham as the number one tight end threat if he's completely healthy and ready to go.
Wow, man, before I could even ask you, that's certainly pretty crazy that this guy can go from on the bench to start the season off, someone who's going to go very late in the draft, much like we saw last year, to a guy that now is a possible first, maybe second round potential pick here. I mean, this is a guy who, whenever he's on the field, he just seems to do amazing. He's a touchdown magnet. And I think he's a little bit more of an easy target than Jimmy Graham, for as good as Jimmy Graham is, who is probably a for sure first-round pick this year, I'd have to say. But Rob Gronkowski might be the better pick. The thing that's going to limit him, Kyle, and I will mention it's been 7.5 months since his devastating ACL, MCL injury, which we've seen knock guys out for a long, long time. I mean, most guys aren't even fully healthy for about a season removed from that injury. So they have to go through a whole season of kind of recovery before they get back to 100%, so to speak. The one guy we've seen do something like this and actually be maybe even better than he was before the injury was Adrian Peterson. Everybody remembers that, and I know it's hard to compare a guy to Adrian Peterson, but if there's anybody who can be compared to him, it's Rob Gronkowski. The only difference here, Kyle, is he has a long track record of getting injuries. Can you trust him at all to stay healthy?
Oh, I mean, Rob Gronkowski's got one thing working against him. He's much bigger than Adrian Peterson is. Anytime you got a guy that's 6'6", 265 pounds, running receiver routes down the middle, getting flipped upside down, playing as hard as he does, he's got a lot more of a chance of getting injured than a guy like Adrian Peterson, who's a little smaller. Granted, he is a running back where he's probably getting hit a lot more during the game than Rob Gronkowski is. But, longer legs, longer limbs, that's been kind of Rob Gronkowski's his plague, but also the thing that makes him so good. Guy's got really long arms, and, the forearm injury, that's something that could still come up this season. I mean, that's not something that's something they said is never going to heal correctly and be completely fine to go. So all it takes is one long, if he lands the wrong way on his arm, that could be another problem for Rob Gronkowski. So, unlike Adrian Peterson, he's much bigger. It's much harder, for him to stay healthier. Adrian Peterson and Rob Gronkowski are both freaks of nature, though. So I agree with you there. We can definitely compare them and their injuries and how they bounce back. They both are, freaks in the gym. They take this sport very seriously to where they're going to do whatever they can, need to do to get back on that field and get back to playing how they were. So I expect Rob Gronkowski to bounce back, but I mean, just that size difference there kind of still makes me a little weary about drafting him real high because guess what? I did it 2 seasons ago, and I kind of am getting screwed in the end with him not being able to use him.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we can say as a positive, if you want to throw out the Gronk is way bigger than Adrian Peterson end of it, you can also use the angle that Adrian Peterson probably got hit a lot more than Gronkowski's going to at the tight end position. So maybe that's a positive. They might use... Oh, what's that, K-Mac?
One thing to that is that usually a running back, when they're getting hit, they know they're getting hit. They're kind of in that position to take a hit. A lot of receivers and tight ends, especially in the way the sport is played now, they're catching balls and they're getting hit from any angle. They don't know which way they're getting hit from. So I mean, yeah, they're not getting hit as much, but you definitely see a lot more receivers going down in games. We see them constantly. They've had to change the rules because receivers are just getting lit up. And so, I mean, yeah, well, I guess I even said that Adrian Peterson definitely is going to get more hits. He's going to have more opportunity to get hurt. But Rob Gronkowski, the size and the position he plays, probably is a better, percentage-wise, a higher percentage of getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean that's how we saw him get re-injured in the past, is taking hits that he did not see coming at all, which is pretty
Yeah,
big for a huge guy like that. If he falls down, he's going to fall down hard. We've seen him laying on
yeah,
his head a couple times even. But because of this situation where we're kind of talking about it, that he can get re-injured by a hit he does not see coming, I think you might see him become more of a touchdown specialist, maybe a guy that they use mostly in the end zone. In the past, you've seen him catch bombs before. I mean, they're not afraid to throw it to him 50 yards downfield here. But
oh yeah,
I think that you might see that kind of get slowed down, at least at the earlier portions of the season. I think he'll be more of a touchdown guy because last season, believe it or not, his touchdowns were down a little bit. He was on pace. If he had played the whole season, he would have only scored 9 touchdowns. That's what he's on pace for. The yardage was unbelievable, 1,353. So it's amazing how a guy that we don't really look at as, a speed burner was really explosive when it comes to yards and yards after catch last season and seasons before. I think you might see him shift a little bit more towards a touchdown guy this year, probably a lot less yards because of that injury risk. Considering he probably will be playing in week 1, the Patriots know that it's going to be about the war, not the battle. They're going to have to take it slow and just use him in the most important situations necessary, which probably should be in the end zone where they're trying to score. K-Mac, let's go ahead and compare him to the other top tier tight ends here. First guy, you got to say Jimmy Graham. Guy got paid in the
yeah,
offseason here. We're looking at him right now. Straight up beast. Talk
yeah.
about a touchdown magnet. He brings that athleticism that even Gronkowski can't bring to the table. I know you just said Gronk probably has to be your number one guy, but Jimmy Graham definitely has an advantage as far as health and quarterback play with that speed. I think is going to really put Jimmy Graham in some great situations here.
Well, yeah, he led in every category last year for tight ends. When I was saying that about putting Gronk ahead of Graham, if I was drafting this season, I would definitely take Graham over Gronk, just because there's still uncertainties with Gronk. But I'm saying in the perfect world, if we know Gronk is going to be completely healthy, I know he's going to last for the whole season for me, then I'm definitely taking Gronk number one. But Jimmy Graham, he's definitely the number one. If you don't pick him number one, there's something wrong with you. The guy was absolutely ridiculous last year. There's nothing that makes me believe he's not going to do the same, if not better, this upcoming season. So Graham's still number one for me, but this is where it kind of gets, on my list at least, it gets a little hard to pick who would be my number two guy because I like a guy like Julius Thomas. I like him a lot. I think that he's definitely a guy that could go number two, but with a healthy Gronkowski, I think I had to slide him right in that number two spot because say you do draft Gronkowski and he lasts 4 or 5 weeks and then gets injured, that 4 to 5 weeks you probably are getting a lot of fantasy points out of him no matter what. So maybe if you take Gronk high, you draft another one of these guys, a little lower and hope that Gronk stays healthy and you have one of these other guys you can rely on later if he gets hurt.
Now, sticking with Julius Thomas, K-Mac, I mean, I think we
Yeah.
can expect a bump from his stats here because of the loss of Eric Decker. I don't think Peyton Manning's that worried about it because he knows he has that secret weapon in his back pocket in Julius Thomas, just as much as Demarius Thomas. I know they picked up Emmanuel Sanders, who's going to explode as well as some other younger guys there. But I think Julius Thomas is going to be the guy that's probably going to get even more attempts thrown his way. I know that's saying a lot considering he had an amazing season last year before getting injured towards the end of the season. But can
Yeah.
you still throw Gronk over Julius? If we can give him a bill of health here because of Julius's potential growth here this season with the loss of Eric Decker.
Yeah, the thing is with Julius Thomas, if you talk about a touchdown specialist, I definitely think that's a role Julius Thomas is going to see. He had 12 touchdowns last year, which is really good. That ranked him third last year amongst all tight ends, with even being injured during the season. So I think Thomas is going to get a lot of touchdowns. We named off the receiving corps they have. Those guys are going to get him downfield, and you know how Peyton Manning is, likes to find a tight end, vintage Dallas Clark days, finding his tight end in the end zone and getting it to him. So, I mean, that's what he's going to try to do. But hey, this is why I like that our drafts usually don't happen until the preseason is somewhat played. So I like to see how Gronk is playing on the field, coming back from injury. I want to see how he moves. We haven't really got a lot of insight yet on how well he is on the field, getting hit with people. So we're definitely going to see that as training camp, continues and we get into preseason. We can actually see him on the field.
Yeah, we strongly recommend you guys do your draft as close to the season as possible, preferably that weekend right there before the season, especially when it comes to guys like Gronkowski. You need to make sure that they are playing as advertised and that they can get through the preseason healthy. If Gronkowski even plays in the preseason at all, they might just hold him out. Last guy I want to touch on is Jordan Cameron. This is another guy we expect to take another step forward, even though last season he had a great year. I expect him to get more touchdowns, more yardage, basically just a bigger year than last year because they don't have a Josh Gordon or really anybody else there. They have two quarterbacks that I think are going to play well in some capacity. Jordan Cameron's going to be the benefactor there. Do you think there's any way that Cameron can play on that Gronkowski level, though, FPS Kyle?
I think Cameron is probably the closest one to Gronkowski when you want to try to compare some of these players. Big guy, natural type tight end, uses his body well, uses his hands very well, can jump up, can catch the ball. A little bit bigger and stronger than I believe than Graham is, more on the Gronk level of strength. Like I said, Graham was mainly a basketball player. Cameron and Gronk, I feel, are more designed to be that new prototype tight end that can block well as run routes. He's got to be the number one guy in Cleveland if Cleveland wants to do anything this year. If for some reason Manziel ends up starting or playing and if he's successful, like a lot of people are thinking he's going to be, then, as he's scrambling, man, Cameron is going to be a huge target for him downfield. If Cameron has a Manziel who's playing at top quality, Cameron's numbers are going to skyrocket because Cameron is going to be, pretty much comparable to who he had at Texas A&M, bailing him out all the time. Our boy, Mr. Buccaneer, new Buccaneer, on that team, Duncaneers, you know what I'm talking about here, RJ.
Yeah, Austin Stefarian-Jenkins.
No, I'm talking about the receiver, Mike Evans.
Oh, you're talking about the tight end, Mike Evans. I thought you were talking about the Bucks tight end or the wide receiver for Texas A&M.
We got one too, but I'm saying, a lot of people felt Mike Evans used to bail out Manziel when he's at Texas A&M. Now, who's going to bail out Manziel if he's starting? It's going to be a guy like Cameron who's going to be able to use his body, go up and get the ball, and that's exactly what Manziel is going to target. So if Manziel ends up playing this year and does well, that's only going to help Cameron out a lot. And we saw the connection that Hoyer and Cameron had last year. So I had Cameron ranked really high this year. He's definitely one of my more favorite tight ends to go with if I'm going to draft a tight end high in the draft.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, when it comes to Jordan Cameron and the Cleveland Browns, they really don't have anybody else. They have Miles Austin. That's about it. So that's why we think he should have a great season. As long as Manziel or Hoyer play somewhat good, I think both of them should play pretty decent here. Manziel has a good offensive coordinator in Kyle Shanahan, a guy who's going to know exactly how to use him, much like he used RG3. Not so much last season, but the season before that, he used RG3. A great weapon there. So I think he can use Manziel the same way. So that should definitely benefit Jordan Cameron there as we're looking at right now running through a Patriot. I did mention Austin Stefarian-Jenkins for the Buccaneers. He's a rookie, so he's definitely a major sleeper, but if you look at his size, he is very comparable to a Gronkowski. They're pretty much around the same size. Stefarian-Jenkins might even be a little bit bigger, so watch out for him, guys, especially you playing in Dynasty Leagues. He might be someone you want to grab hold of very late in the draft where he'll be available. And let us know if there's any other tight ends you're looking to grab. Now, when it comes to big guy Rob Gronkowski. I'm taking this for, of course, for face value. I think he will play at the beginning of the season. You're taking a huge risk in taking him because if he doesn't stay healthy, then that's going to kill you. Most likely, he'll be injured for the rest of the season if anything happens, which means you'll be on your own in the playoffs and for the remainder of the season. That said, I would still draft him extremely high. I would probably take him in the second round. I wouldn't take him over Jimmy Graham, like K-Mac, of course, said as well. He would also take Jimmy Graham over Gronk. But he's still worthy of a second round pick. You have to take your chances because this guy will win you leagues and will win you games as long as he's healthy. So I do fully recommend that you take him early. I think this is going to be another one of those crazy stories that people will be talking about as far as a guy recovering extremely fast. I mean, 7.5 months after tearing both your AC and MCL is pretty much ridiculous. So we'll see if he can stay healthy. This is going to be a crazy season for the Patriots and Gronkowski. The Patriots are still lacking in the wide receiver area. Perhaps Amendola steps up. Perhaps Dobson can play even better after his rookie season. Just to finish off this look at Gronkowski, Kyle, do you think any of the other wide receivers in that team will help out? And one other thing to add to that, Tom Brady, I felt, did not play as good as advertised last season. Perhaps he'll play better, which will help Gronk out as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll touch on the Tom Brady real quick. I mean, I think his stats were good, but I thought Tom Brady, was the reason why that offense did anything last year. So really, Tom Brady, I think he played pretty well, given that that he didn't have much to deal with. And then we can relate that with Gronk now. Is hey, Gronk, you're back now, so you need to be the focal point again in this offense. So they'll definitely be throwing to him. I mean, if I'd have to say that he's going to have over 80 catches this year, I'd have to probably say no. If he does, that would surprise me. But I feel that there's enough sleepers this year in the tight end pool. I feel that there's actually enough even good tight ends to where you might be able to, after everyone's picked a tight end, still get a couple of guys that you can put in week to week, depending on their matchup, and still get you some points. So given that, I still got to think that Gronkowski would be number 2 on my list, right after Jimmy Graham, of course, and then probably Julius Thomas right after Gronkowski. So I'm excited to have him back. I mean, it's football needs these kind of guys playing in it. Just makes the game better, makes it more exciting. It's always fun to watch him catch balls. High step, overstop somebody, stiff arm somebody, and then run somebody over in the end zone. It's pretty cool, but it's good to have him back, and we'll see what the training camp and preseason can amount to for Gronk, and see if he's actually 100% by the start of the season.
Yeah, we'll definitely be getting into the tight end position very soon. We're going to bust out all of our rankings very, very soon, so that way you guys will have them nice and early. You can, of course, comment us whenever if you have a specific question. I am not quite as optimistic as you, Kyle, when it comes to the tight end position. I am pretty frightened over getting one of the lesser tiered tight ends, so I think it's going to be a huge thing to get a Jimmy Graham, a Jordan Cameron, somebody who's going to pay dividends for you, because it's just rough when you have a complete boomer bust tight end who throws out a 0 on you, and you're going against somebody with Jimmy Graham. That gives them a massive advantage on you, and it's tough to make that up. It's always nice if you're the one who has that top tier tight end, because you can kind of sum up the rest of the positions, but if you don't have a top notch tight end, it's nearly impossible to find one out of nowhere. It pretty much never happens.
I feel this year that there's going to be more than we've seen in the past. I feel that there's, especially the return of David Pitta and what the Ravens want to use him as. There's some guys that are back. There's some young guys like Reed, and then we even have this freshman class coming in. You got guys like Ebron, and then even Jenkins with the Bucks. These kind of guys can come out of nowhere. I mean, we saw even in Tampa Bay, Tim Wright. He was a viable tight end last year, an option if you needed it. He was a guy you could pick up, and he was going to get you some points. Tight end is probably one of the more inconsistent positions for sure. So if you get one of those top 4 or 5 tight ends, then you're good for the rest of the year. If you don't, then you're going to be scrambling for some guys. But I do feel there's enough talent this year to probably get you by, and hopefully use that other draft pick on somebody better.
Congratulations to the New England Patriots for seemingly getting their all-pro tight end back healthy just in time for training camp, preseason, and the regular season. Guys, let's really hope that he gets healthy. Like Kyle said, it's important that guys like this are in the game because it makes it that much more exciting. And I really don't think the Patriots can go that far this year without Gronkowski. They are one of my Super Bowl favorites, but they go from being a top team to one of the best teams. So with Gronkowski, that makes them probably Team A, Team B as far as the best in the league, tied with the Broncos, Seahawks, probably 49ers as well. Thank you guys for joining us for our look at Rob Gronkowski. Make sure to drop your comments. Let us know if you're thinking of anything that we did not mention when it comes to that big guy, as well as the other tight ends that he will be competing for as the top tight end in fantasy football this season. Make sure to stay tuned. We will be covering all of the biggest stories in training camp, as well as debuting all of our top rankings. We'll be with you through the entire season. So if you ever need us, all you have to do is drop your comment or hit us up on Twitter. We'll get back to you immediately. I'm RJ for Kyle. Stay trippy, and peace out, guys.